and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a book review, which I realised I hadn't really done in quite a while. So today we're talking about A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas, which is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Whew, that's quite a mouthful, isn't it? So A Court of Mist and Fury picks up a couple of months after the events of A Court of Thorns and Roses. So if you haven't read this book yet, just leave now. Click away. I don't want to spoil it. Just go and read the first book and then this book, and then we can talk and like fangirl and all that kind of fun stuff. So at the end of ACOTAR, Feyre has been turned into a High Fae and she goes off with Tamlin to live at the Spring Court, and we're a couple of months after that now. They're arranging their marriage and she hasn't really heard from Rhysand yet, so she's kind of not very comfortable about that fact. And on her wedding day, Rhys finally calls in the bargain and whisks her off to the Night Court. There's lots of things happening in this book. It is quite big. It's around 600 and something pages. But I felt that this book was so much better than A Court of Thorns and Roses. Now, I really liked the first book, but I felt like the first 2/3 of the book were kind of slow. I felt like only when we got down to Amaranthus Cave, a lot of action was happening. There was a lot more plot development and a lot more character development. Whereas this book just builds on that. You meet lots of new characters, all of which are kind of awesome or kind of despicable. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds that you get to meet in this book. I really wanted to see more of the other courts, and in this book we do get to see the Night Court in all its glory, and it is amazing. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be. Also, Rhysand, or Rhys, is one of my favourite characters. Can I just say one thing? Actually, my boyfriend's brother's name is Rhys. I had so much trouble. I had to keep calling him Rhysand in my head every single time, even when Sarah said Rhys, because I kind of felt uncomfortable. And speaking about uncomfortable, this book is new adult. I know it's kind of put with the young adult everywhere, including here in the UK, but for me this is really new adult. There's a couple of scenes that I kind of squirmed at, and I don't really consider myself a prude, but apparently I am. Who knew? My favourite part of this book, however, is Feyre's character growth. She has been remade, but she grows so much in this book as a person, as a fae, as a leader, as in any way imaginable, and it's done in such a realistic and such a positive way, and I really enjoyed it. It's not like I didn't like Feyre in the first book, but I love her now. Like, I absolutely adore her. She's one of my like favorite protagonists now, which is quite awesome. And she does so many cool things, and she just grows so much as a person, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So that is it for the non-spoiler part of this review. If you haven't read this book yet, leave now. Yes, thank you. Also, it is so boiling hot in Cardiff right now. I am sweating, so if you see my glasses damp over, I am very sorry. I am really not equipped to deal with heat. I'm just not, like, and it's not even that crazy yet. Like, I'm just like, I don't want it to be summer. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about my first reaction. After finishing this book, I have my phone here because I messaged Shana, and I just have to read you these things because this was my very first reaction at the end of the book. I just finished it. I think it was like midnight midnight. Basically, my reaction to finishing this book was this. Oh my god! And then it just went like, Tamlin is utter scum. He is. I don't even know. Like, him betraying Feyre like that, oh, there were so many things wrong with that. And in a way, I felt like it was really well set up with the whole beginning of the story. I hated Feyre being in the Spring Court. I absolutely hated it. I thought that Tamlin was a bit overprotective in book 1, but in book 2, I just wanted to rip his throat out. Like, I wanted to rip his throat out. I wanted to end him violently. I know that sounds kind of psycho, but I was so angry with him, especially the point where he just locked her into the house. What you doing, Tamlin? What you doing? And it wasn't even just Tamlin, like Lucien. Why? How can you consider yourself somebody's friend when you let them be locked up by your friend or by your superior or whatever? No, I mean, I get that you want to be a good courtier and everything, but just don't you have any sense of morality whatsoever? Like, no. Just no. I knew about the queens though. I knew the second they were going to show the queens Valaris that it would all go down to hell. I was like, don't do it. Just don't do it. And then of course they would backtrack and they would rat them out, and that just, yeah. I loved the ending though, because I was like, Tamlin, The High Lady of the Night Court is now as your court, and she's going to fuck you up, and I'm going to enjoy it very much. Like in the next book, I want slow and painful. I really do. I don't know why I'm so vengeful, but I'm like, yes, it needs to happen. Let's just say that I have a lot of negative Tamlin feels. Now, I loved that in this book we see more of the world. I loved going to the summer court, even though I felt really bad about them kind of betraying Tarkin. I really liked him. I think he's a really fun guy, so I'm hoping that they'll kind of get to patch that up in the next book. Valaris, however, was my absolute favorite. I want to live there and, you know, wake up and just want to live there so badly. I loved everything to do with Rhys and his court, and well, the Court of Dreams is pretty awesome. Like, his inner circle are like total squad goals. I can't wait for the next book. I just really want to see more. I want to see more of Rhys, how he deals with Farah being in Spring Court. I would love to have like a dual POV. I think that'd be grand, because it's funny though, because when we got to Rhys's chapter at the end, I didn't realize for a bit. I was like, but you're not there, Farah. You're somewhere else. And then I was like, read back to the beginning. I was like, oh, it's Rhys's chapter. But I love Rhys. I really like his development. I like how he is constantly, it's your choice. And I like that he's not perfect. He really is not in so many ways. But still, he's trying really hard. You know, which is a total contrast from Tamlin, who's like, I'm gonna try, and then he doesn't, and locks her up in the house. And I'm like, you didn't even try, dude. You didn't even try. When it comes to the sex scenes, which is something that I have been thinking about, because I don't consider myself a very prudish person, but I felt myself going, quite a bit when reading those scenes, and I get why they're in there, especially the ones with Tamlin, because that's how they communicate, and I feel like that's kind of Sarah showing us that it's not working, that they're not communicating, that they're not kind of helping each other, and I get that they're both like dealing with lots of stuff. I was like, come on you guys, if you really love each other, you're gonna deal with that together, or try to deal with it together, and not just like pawn her off on Yantha, who's obviously evil. And obviously has her own agenda. She's another one of those people that can rot in hell with the king and like Tamlin. It'll be fun. But yeah, going back to the sex scenes, I just found it so detailed. I kind of felt like I was peeping into Sarah J Maas's sexual preferences, which was a kind of bit uncomfortable. That is just a level of detail I am not very comfortable with. I was like, I don't want to know that. No. I don't really want to know how many fingers you want to use. No. Sorry. So yeah, I really loved it. I loved the relationship between Rhys and Farah. I kind of guessed it though, that they got mated, and that's what Rhys kind of saw at the end of ACOTAR. I was like, party time, I totally knew it. But I really enjoyed this. This was such a great second installment. You know, sometimes second books are kind of like iffy, but this one was so much better than the first one. I love how Sarah J Maas is still growing as a writer, and she grows every single book, and you kind of see that, which is great. It's funny because Throne of Glass was my favorite series out of these two, but now I think this is kind of really awesome. Oh, Cassian and Azriel and Amren and Mor and everybody, just be my friends. I have something to contribute, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, all in all, I love this book. It is one of my favorites. It's quite long, I think, but I was like, I don't want it to end. And they get longer and longer, her books, and I'm very happy about that. So I just love being in these kind of worlds. She does a world really, really well. So there you are. That's it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye-bye.